Hola everybody, how are you? It's Fabi Paulini here, online brand strategy and business coach. And I'm here today to talk to you guys for a minute about something that I feel is really, really important. I see so many people out there struggling and trying to figure out like, oh my God, what is it that I have to do? And like, what, how, kind of just almost bending over backwards and trying all of these different things in order to be able to get clients into their business through these really complex and insane funnels that are like upsells and another upsell and then a downsell and then this and then that, and you're kind of just going crazy over it. So I wanted to talk to you guys about basically around, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sort of reasons that your funnels are failing you, and why you're not converting sales, why it's not working for you, and what it is that you need to do to fix it really, really fast so that you can start getting them to convert. I can even think of a 7th one right now, but let's go with them and see if more than the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sorry, more than the 5 that I have come up or whatever. Let's go. All right. So, okay. Before we get started, just in case you don't know what I even mean when I talk about a funnel, I'm guessing that you probably do know, right? But I'm really essentially talking about like whatever marketing strategy you're currently using in order to get people to buy your products or your services more likely, right? And there's so many different strategies, so many different things that a lot of people do, whether it's webinars or challenges or PDFs or quizzes or what, like video series or boot camps or whatever it is, right? There's so many different options available out there. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a secret. I've actually tried all of them. Like if you go to my site, fabipaulini.com, you're going to discover that I have basically every single one of those strategies in place for my business. So my main one being a webinar, in case you've seen it. And if you've seen it, like it and comment on my ad or whatever, just so that I know that that you are watching it. But that's the main one that I have. However, let me just sit up here. However, I have tried basically every type of funnel that you can even imagine. And when I work with my clients, we kind of do the same thing. So we look at, okay, what are the different options that are available to you, and what are the things that work best for who you are? We adapt it, right? So this isn't what this video is about really, but I just kind of wanted to tell you this because I feel like that's important. That's probably another thing to add to why funnels are failing. So let me actually go through the list and tell you a few of these things and what you can do to fix them really, really fast. So the first thing that you're doing that's basically making your funnel not work for you is that you're not doing a good job of differentiating yourself from everybody else. And I know that this sounds kind of obvious, but the thing is that it might sound obvious, but you're still doing it. In order for people to be able to trust you, there has to be this certainty in the way that you're communicating, the things that you're saying, and the way that you're showing up. And there has to be kind of just this attitude of I'm different from everybody else, because like I don't know what you do specifically, right? I don't know maybe the specifics of what you do, but I can put on money out there that you have a ton of competition. There's no way around it. Like every market that you're in right now, no matter what it is that you do, is a market that is highly, highly saturated, right? Like that is the world that we live in. And when you fail at really being able to differentiate yourself from everybody else, it really makes a big, big impact on the way that people see you, because what happens is that because you're not differentiating yourself, people end up competing on price. Like you end up competing on price. So basically, they watch your webinar, they read your PDF, they do all this stuff. And then they say, okay, well, look at Helen's stuff. It's great, but here's Jennifer's, and it sounds like they're doing more or less the same thing. So I'm gonna go with Jennifer, who's cheaper, because why not, right? Like, and the big problem or the big reason behind that is that you're failing to really position yourself as this expert and this person that is basically doing something different, right? So part of the way that you solve this is first by by one of the things that I do with my clients is basically build a framework that is unique to them. So it's not just about like, oh, I'm going to sell this program, but it's okay, how can we turn this into a process that nobody else in the world, like I don't care how many PhDs they have, how many things they've done, nobody else in the world can teach it because it's the thing that I created. So for example, in my own business, I think I need to print this and have this like handy because I always talk about it. I'm going to do it. In my own business, I do what I call the brand strategy pyramid. And basically, this is a pyramid where, I talk about like how businesses are built and how you build success and how you need a really strong foundation. And through that foundation, you build an offer. Then after the offer, you create your brand, like your marketing strategy, and then your visibility plan. So which is the way how you bring traffic into your strategy. And then surrounding all of it is your brand identity and the way that you're showing up. So when I work with my clients, the way that we do it is that we build the whole brand strategy pyramid. And this is a system that is 100% unique to Fabi, unique to me, because I created it. There's nobody else in the world that's talking about it because it's something that I created. It's a process that I made. So when you look at the way that I do work, and if you've seen my webinar, you've seen me talk, or you've heard me or watched me talk about the brand strategy pyramid, it's like, oh, wait a minute, this thing that Fabi is saying makes sense. And there's nobody else in the world that's teaching it because it's something that I created. So therefore, if I need to work with somebody, like, and if this is the thing that's going to solve my problem, I need to work with Fabi because she's the only person that's teaching it, right? So you really need to find out, like, first of all, how can you turn what you do into your own framework? And again, like I do this with clients all the time. We look through all of their stuff, their information, their experience, their knowledge, all of it, and we create a framework that is unique to them. Like I usually even design it. Like my case is the pyramid, sometimes it's something different. And then make sure that you are really, really clear on communicating that unique value whenever you do whatever you're doing for marketing, whatever you're doing in your funnel, right? So, so I'll give you an example. I'm working with a client right now who is a career coach. She is absolutely amazing. And we're doing a webinar together. So I was mentioning before that with every single one of my clients, we look at who they are, who their audience is. We look at a ton of different things and we define what the best marketing strategy is. And in her case, it is a webinar. So she creates this webinar and the content is absolutely insanely amazing. Like, it's one of the best webinars I've ever seen. We kind of wrote a lot of it together. I kind of guided her through the process, but she created a lot of it too. So obviously I'm not taking credit for it, not completed anyways. And she recorded the webinar and she sent it to me yesterday. So we had a call yesterday morning. And when I looked at it, I was like, this is amazing. The content is amazing. Your voice, it sounds amazing. The graphics are beautiful. Like everything is great. However, I feel like there's something missing in your personality. Like it doesn't feel like you. It felt too perfect, right? So while the content was great, she wasn't differentiating in the way in which she was speaking. Like I wanted to hear the webinar or watch the webinar as if she was talking to a friend. I can tell you from my own personal experience, that has really impacted the way that I have done business over the years. Because at first, like when I started doing webinars years ago, I was very professional and very perfect and very like this authority figure and credible source and blah, 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 blah. And it makes sense, right? But the thing is that I kind of lost my humanity and that differentiation in the process. So I got to a point eventually in my business where I was like, screw it. I sing in my webinar if you've ever watched it. And all my content has that humanity and that like just who I am. If you read my emails, if you watch my posts or my videos or whatever, I'm just me. So that differentiation is really, really important. Not only in like, okay, what's my framework or who am I? What am I doing different? What can I bring to the table? But also in you showing up with your personality and your confidence and the certainty of who you are and the things that you're doing. So that is basically the first reason why I believe that a lot of funnels fail. You make them so perfect, you kind of copy and paste this like swipe file, right? Like almost like this script that has been created and you're doing everything the same with this little system that is perfect, and it doesn't work. And it doesn't work because it's not you. And, it makes a really, really big impact. So that's the first. That's why I had to listen tonight. Thank you. There you go, Helen. I'm glad that helped. I know that this is going to help for you. Absolutely. So good. Okay. So the second reason why your funnel is failing is you're giving too much value. So I know that this is kind of like a little bit of a tricky subject, right? Because here's what I don't like. I don't like webinars that are like full of fluff and they're all about like, oh my God, I'm so amazing. I'm so perfect. I'm so wonderful. Blah, 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 telling all like the person's story. And again, it doesn't have to be a webinar. I'm sorry, I keep on using that. But obviously, like I said, it really depends on whatever it is that you're using as a strategy, right? So it's not really about like just, oh, I'm not going to give enough. I'm giving too much value, so I'm just going to give fluff. It's not about that, but it's about the fact that if you're giving too much of it, what happens if you're teaching people too much, what happens is like you're putting a little band-aid on a problem and people are like, oh, okay, thank you. I'll figure it out on my own and I'll come back to you later, right? Like the typical, oh, let me, I'm going to manifest the money or whatever people say, right? Like, and obviously that doesn't work either, because when you're giving too much value, you're educating. And by the way, there's schools of thoughts with this, right? Like there's people that are like give everything away, and then people are going to be like, oh my God, this is so amazing, and there's so much value over here that I'm going to hire this person because I can't do it on my own. That is a good option to, like, that is one way of doing it. I personally do it a little bit different. I kind of feel like, okay, I like giving a lot of value. Like if you read my emails, if you watch my videos, if you go through my content, I give a lot of value, but I'm not giving away like the actual how I'm doing things. You know what I mean? Because obviously if I give you the how, what's going to happen is that you're going to try to do it on your own. And there's so many pieces left out that you're going to fail at them, right? So you have to be careful with giving everything away, giving so much away that people are going to be like, oh, let me just give it, like, give it a try on my own. When obviously, for example, in my case, like I said before, I have a process, I have a brand strategy pyramid process, and there's so many things involved. There's training, there are videos, there's calls, there's looking at who you are, let's analyzing your audience, looking at your skills, your stories, your style, your successes, your steps, like all of these different things that make you who you are. And it's not something that you could get through a little video or through a webinar or through a video series or through a PDF or through a challenge or whatever it is. Like, it's not that simple, right? So thinking that, okay, let me just give it all away, it really isn't going to take away it's not really going to solve the problem. So what tends to happen a lot of times is that people give everything away, or like all this stuff away, and then what happens is that the person that's watching or reading or listening or whatever to your content, they say, okay, that makes sense, like let me just try to do it on my own and let's see what happens. And what happens is that it doesn't work because you need somebody also from the outside sometimes looking in and helping you out. So Helen is saying it's a nightmare trying to do it alone. It's driving me mad. Helen, we need to talk, girl, because I get what you're talking about. It is really, really difficult doing some of these things on your own. Especially, I think that this is one of the things that my clients struggle with the most. Like, what is too much value and what is too little value? Like, how do I know that I'm not giving it away, or I'm giving enough away that people want to watch my content or read my content or consume my content, let's say it that way. And them feeling like they got value, but I'm not feeling like I'm coaching people for free. So there's a little bit of there's a very thin line right there, and it's complicated. Sometimes it takes people from the outside looking in and saying, hey, this is too much. Don't give this away or don't do that. But anyways, so that second reason why your funnel isn't working is that you're giving too much away. So people are saying, okay, let me give it a try on my own. Maybe I'll make it happen. And they go away, they try it on their own, and they fail because they don't have all the information and it's not enough. And sometimes you need somebody by your side, and sometimes you need to invest. So all these different things going on. The third reason why your funnel isn't working is that the total opposite is that you're giving too little value. So like I said, it's like this thin line, right? And when I say about giving too little value, the truth is that one of the most important things that you want to do with the content that you're creating is overcome objections. Like, that is really it. It's about helping people understand that they have a problem, that you have the solution, that the problems, excuses, the theories, the beliefs, the limitations, all the stuff that they're telling themselves that they have aren't really true, right? And that they actually can work with you and that you can solve the problem. So when you're giving too little value, where it's just fluff talking about how wonderful you are and that's it, well, what happens is that you're not really overcoming limitations. You're not really overcoming objections. So therefore, people are like, hey, good, awesome, perfect. You know what I mean? Like they just run away. They're not really consuming your content. So I feel like that is a really, really important one. I would say that the fourth reason, I didn't have that in my notes, but I'm going to say it anyways. The fourth reason why your funnel is failing is that you're following some cookie cutter strategy that isn't the right strategy for you. And this is I just keep on thinking of more and more and more, but this is an important one too, because what happens is that everybody is different. You're different, your audience is different, what you're offering is different, and sometimes certain things don't work for everybody, right? So I'll give you an example. I've tried everything that you can possibly imagine. Like I told you before, right? I have done webinars, I have multiple PDFs, I've done quizzes, I have done challenges, I have done video series, I have done free email courses, I have done challenges, webinars. So I've done like all of these things. I'm about to do a summit in Spanish in a couple of months and try that too and see how it works. So I'm doing all of these different things, and I've done all these different things. And what I've noticed is that audiences sometimes respond better to one thing than the other instead of the other. And I'll give you an example. This is one of the examples that I've talked about before, but with fitness, right? So I have a client who is a weight loss coach or fitness coach. And when we launched her business, we did a webinar and it worked incredibly well for her. Like she got a ton of clients, a ton of people coming in. I have one client that we did a webinar with, and at the end of the webinar, she invited people on a call, and on that call, she pitched them her program, and she had a ton of success. I have another client who's another fitness coach who, instead of a webinar, we did a 3-day challenge. At the end of the challenge, she pitched her program. She sold her program on the end of the challenge. She was able to sell like 10 spots. It was like a $1,500 program, made a ton of money, gone amazing, and she keeps on relaunching that same system every so often, right? Because she works with people for about 8 weeks. So at the end of 8 weeks, she launches the video series again, or the challenge or whatever again, and that's what she does. I have a third client who is also a weight loss coach, but in this case, she is an intuitive weight loss coach who we did a webinar with, and at the end of the webinar she pitched her program, and it was a $2,500 program. She sold over 10 spots of that, doing it live and doing everything, and then she went out to automate it. So my point is, like, there's so many different things that you can do. There's so many directions, so many options, and not all of them are going to work with who you are, because who you are is different than everybody else. Like, obviously, you can't expect to be doing the same thing than everybody and thinking that that's the only way. Sometimes it's a matter of, okay, let me try this. What feels right? What feels good to me? Like, what is the thing that inspires me? I've had clients who are just really bad at doing video. And side note, we're all really bad at doing video. Like, I just want to make it clear. At first, we sucked. Like, if you were to go watch my really, really old videos from 3 years ago, I sucked at it. But there's people who are like, I'm an introvert. I really don't feel comfortable with doing videos at all. I don't like it. I don't like being on camera. I don't like talking like this. So in those cases, we do a free email course where everything's written out and they don't have to do that. Some people hate doing calls, like sales calls. So that's not the business model that works for them. So one of the reasons why your funnel is not working for you is that you don't, it's not the right funnel for you. Skylar says, I found it. I wonder what she found. It's not the right funnel for you, period. Like, you're doing the wrong thing because you're not thinking about who you are, what makes you different. You're thinking, what I have to do is follow this like cookie cutter thing that this person is teaching me, and that's it, and follow that, and that's everything, right? That being said, another reason why your funnel might be failing you is the lack of commitment. And I know that, again, some of these things might be contradictory, but I think take whatever resonates with you and go with it. You know what I mean? Because there's things that you're going to be like, okay, Fabi, but you just said that it was the wrong funnel. Now you're telling me that I'm not committed. Well, I know it's contradictory, but it's also the truth. Sometimes the thing of you sticking with things because you know that they work, right? So again, going back to my own example and my own story. The first time I did a webinar was in 2016. I did a program that taught me how to do webinars, 2016. I went through the program and I failed at it. It was horrible. I spent all this money. I spent all this money on ads. I spent more money on ads. Like I did all this stuff and I got 0 clients from it. 0. So I was like, okay, clearly this isn't the way to go for me. Clearly I'm not good at it. So I left it out and I just kept on going with my life and doing all the other stuff that I talked about, you know, like challenges and quizzes and all this other stuff, right? And I had a lot of success with these little things, but I had this, like this gut feeling inside of me, like this weird thing of like, I don't know, but I still feel like there's something in that webinar, like there's something that's missing in my webinar. And I feel like if I just stick with it, if I just try once more, like give it a try and try to do something different and stick with it, maybe I'm going to get a result. So again, kind of a little bit of a different energy than me doing something that simply doesn't feel right at all. Whereas in this case, it was something inside of me that said, Fabi, this is what's right for you. So because my business has evolved since I did that first webinar, that first moment, and spent all that money, I had since then built my whole brand strategy pyramid. I created my process, my framework, my system. I went through it. I had gotten much better at really connecting with my own voice, who I am, what feels good to me. You know what I mean? Like just my personality and not being perfect and just being like, whatever, I'm just Fabi, you know, like I'm a normal human being or whatever. And because I had been building my own brand strategy pyramid, meaning really solid foundation, I knew what made me different. I really knew my audience. I had an offer that I was like, damn, this is so good. Like I had all these things in place. I felt really confident. I said, you know what? I'm going to go back to the webinar, but I'm going to do things my way. Like I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to give it my own voice, my own style, my own personality. Like I'm just doing things my way. So I went back after I'd spent all that money in my funnel, in everything, ads, everything. And I was like, okay, let me give it another try. So I went back, I did it, launched it, went okay, tried another one, a little bit better, and on and on and on. And I stuck with it. Like I was committed and I stuck with it. And I've done, by this point, over 15 versions. Now, in the last year and a half, approximately, I have generated over $500,000 in my business, mostly because of that webinar that I have running right now. So if I would have quit that first time, like that first time that I was like, nah, I'm really bad at this, whatever, I would have not made this money, at least from this webinar. I mean, I might have made it some other way, but the point is that sometimes it's just your lack of commitment. Like you need to stick with it and you need to try and you need to tweak as many times as you need to tweak. Now, obviously, I'm not saying tweak and spend $5,000 on it and see what happens, and then spend $5,000 more and see what happens. You need to tweak. You need to test it with your warm audience. You need to do certain things before you say, okay, I'm ready to put ads to this and like scale it or whatever. Like be smart with your resources, please, because it kind of drives me crazy when people are like, just spend, like go, look, like I don't know, like what's the word, pawn? Is that it? You know, like just give your house, like pay with your house, pay with everything that's necessary, like sell your kids to pay ads. And I'm like, wait a minute, but I need to test my ads, like my webinar first, or this first, or that first. But anyways, you know, the point is that sometimes what's not working in your funnel is your lack of commitment. So go back, look at it, see what it is that you need to fix to improve it. Another thing, again, I keep on adding, it was originally going to be like 5 reasons why your funnels are failing, but I said you don't differentiate, you give too much value, you give too little value, you're doing the wrong funnel, you're not committed. That's 5 already. I have 2 more. Okay, so the 6th one is that it's just not fun. It's not exciting. It's almost like this, like just a drag. It's a drag. And it's so funny because this is, I feel like sometimes one of the most common things. Like And it kind of relates back to that first one of you not differentiating. It just feels sometimes like, oh my God, you know what I mean? Like it's, I'm watching this webinar and it's like, it feels like a lecture and I'm going crazy over it. Like, really, this is too much. Or I'm watching your video series, or you're watching whatever it is that you're doing, and it's like, oh, this is just so boring. You need to make it exciting. At the end of the day, this is all supposed to be entertaining one way or another. Like, how many distractions do we have a day right now with the world that we live in, which is so freaking insane, right? Like social media, like just on Insta stories, I could spend hours on that, Netflix and like all of these different distractions. You need to make your content entertaining, period. Like if it's boring, if it's not exciting, people are not going to be hooked. And it's not a thing of like, oh, let me like add fireworks over here or add some weird, no, it's not about that, but it's just about making it enticing, making it exciting, so that's a really, really big one. So I said I had one more, but actually I just thought of another one. I just keep on thinking of more. Another reason why your funnel is failing is because you're failing to position yourself as an expert. Really, really important. That is, I feel like, a really, really, really important one. So it means that you're not really doing a good job at building that trust. And sometimes it's because, your branding sucks, right? Like it looks really, really crappy. Like you did your PDF on Canva using playlist script. I think that's what it's called, like, or play something script. I don't remember the name of the font, but the font that everybody uses on Canva. And it's like, really, like, come on, you are asking me to invest all this money in your business because you're this big shot and you haven't invested in yourself. Like your brand looks like crap and it looks like what everybody else is doing. Really? I don't think so. So obviously I'm kind of biased to this because part of what I do with my clients, a small part, but it's still an important part, is building their brands and making sure it looks beautiful and everything looks on brand and, professional and everything. So I'm biased, obviously. But dude, come on, like really, like you can't expect people to buy when it looks like crap. You'd have to be really good at content and really good at marketing and like everything has to be spot on. Really good at sales. That's another good, like a big one, right? Because most times people aren't going to buy just from a hunch, like, oh, okay, this Fabi person sounds kind of interesting. Let me kind of see what happens here. Really? You know what I mean? Like, let me spend all this money on, let me spend 5 figures or 5 or 3 figures or whatever it is. 3 figures is too low, but whatever. Anyways, like, let me just spend this amount of money on this person that I don't know just because she looks cute or just because it kind of sounds interesting. Kind of unlikely. You need to build your credibility. You need to build your authority. You need to show up in the way that you need to show up for real, right? Like you need people to see your expertise. The last way, this is the last one, okay? And I probably keep on saying more and more and more. But the last reason why your funnel isn't working for you, and I feel like this is the most important one of all, okay? You are failing to answer the question, will it work for me? So what I mean with this is when people consume your content, the only real question that you have to answer for them is this something that's going to work for me, right? Like, will it work for me? Does that make sense what I'm saying? I hope that it's making sense. That is the real important, like that is the only question that you need to answer for them. Like you need to let them know that you're an expert, that you're different, that you have the value, that you can help them overcome those objections, that you can make it entertainment, that like all these different things that you're committed, all these different things, you need to help them understand that what you do is going to work for them. That you are an expert, that you know what you know, that you're good at it, and whatever problem that they have, you have the capacity to solve it and to change their lives, their businesses, their relationships, their wealth, their health, whatever it is that you do. So if you're failing at answering that question, you are never going to get your funnel to convert for you. You have to be able to answer that because otherwise people simply don't know. So part of the way that you answer it is by understanding what the problem is in the first place. So going back to what I talked about, my brand strategy pyramid, at the bottom of that pyramid is your brand foundation. Brand foundation has to do with what makes you different, but also who your audience is. What is the problem that they have? It's not just like let me watch some little 20-minute training on finding my audience and then creating my little avatar of this random person, but it's really doing the research and going behind the scenes to understand who your audience is, because the moment that you understand your audience, you can speak to them in a way that immediately triggers them to say, I don't know, I was trying to think of a name, I couldn't think of anything, or Renee, I'm just gonna look at your guys' name, or Helen, or Tracy, or who, like, or whatever, like whomever, but for you, for 100, like for you, because you're your own person, your audience is its own audience, what you offer is different, what you're saying is different, so you need to make sure that what you're creating is unique to you. So like I was saying, if you need help with this, if you need to find out, okay, what can I do to really transform my funnel, please go ahead and go to FabiPaulini.com. Let me type it in the comments here. FabiPaulini.com/call. Book a call with me and my team. It's a 100% free call. We'll look at what you're doing, what your funnels are like, where you need help, where is your brand basically failing you, and what it is that you need to do in order to fix that as soon as possible. It is really, really transformational. It is the best time that you're ever going to spend on your business, and it's 100% free. So pretty darn awesome. Anyway, so hopefully this was helpful. Go ahead and share it. Skylar just told me that she shared it on her team group. Amazing, wonderful, Skylar. I'm glad. And go ahead and share it with your people too, because if your funnel doesn't work, your business stops generating income. Like if you're generating an income, almost like out of luck, right? Out of like, oh, well, randomly I got a referral, or randomly this thing happened, or, like I posted in a Facebook group and somebody came in. Well, look at that. That's awesome. That's great. Keep on doing that. But that's not scalable, and that's not predictable, and that's not something that's going to give you the impact that you want to be making. Like it's almost impossible to build impact on referrals, or build impact on like posting in a Facebook group and crossing your fingers and hoping that somebody sees it and does whatever it is that you want them to do. So you need to make sure that you have an actual strategy that is going to give you the results that you deserve. So yeah, that's it. All right, you guys, I will see you tomorrow, and hopefully this was super helpful. It was a ton of fun for me. Ciao, I'm Fabi Paulini, once again, just in case